world. Their social enterprise business is built with purpose and fortified with love. Come and indulge in their gourmet desserts, sandwiches, and coffee drinks, including vegan and gluten-free options. Located at 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis or at latunjispalette.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Good to be with you today. Matt and Brett here today. Hello, Brett. Have you gotten outside a little bit at all?
Not really today, no.
It's nice. It's Minnesota nice. It's 60s. I'm all good with that considering what we've been dealing with here. Well, a lot to get to today, but let's start off with Cliff Schechter, best-selling author, ad writer for Joe Biden's presidential campaign in 2020. His 2020 Blue Amp Action email list raised over $850,000 for Democratic candidates. If you're not watching the Blue Amp YouTube channel, you're just wrong. He has great takedowns. I post a lot of them on my page. Go get subscribed to it today. Cliff Schechter, kind enough today to join us to talk about some of the news in the world right now. Hey, Cliff.
Hey, Matt. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Now, for everyone out there, Cliff and I had a preemptive to talk about our Twins and Yankees. And so I've decided, because I do love talking baseball, you are in Cincinnati. If there is a team that I could see, they just need one or two things to happen, and all of a sudden they could be a serious threat. It's the Cincinnati Reds. They're not a bad team, but you were kind of alluding to the fact that generally what happens there is they trade off all ther talent.
Yeah, I mean, the problem here is ownership. You know what I mean? It's a small or medium or whatever you want to call it market, kind of like let me try to speak English, like Minneapolis is, or Kansas City or Cleveland. And, a lot of these other teams manage to make the playoffs at least all the time and even win some World Series or go to them. And the problem here is we've got, let's just say the son of the owner would remind you a lot of Donald Trump Jr. He dresses even worse. He wears like leisure suits, like bright, like almost turquoise, jackets. And at one point he said, if you don't like our product, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Everybody's like,
wow.
Well, we'll go to the Bengals games because they win, and FC Cincinnati right now, and the great arts in town. And I mean, they're the father hasn't said much, but the son's a jerk, and he's the general manager, of course. And the problem is that, they've done this, they've gone through 3 cycles, because I moved here excited because this is a baseball town. I mean, the Big Red Machine is one of the most historic teams of all, one of the most historic teams. And the Reds historically have, I think if you look at teams that won the most World Series, the Reds are something like 4th or something in all of baseball. They're the oldest team, 1869. Baseball was started here. So, I mean, if you were ever to come here, and I should get you to do this on opening day, Matt,
yeah,
it is like Mardi Gras. It's like it's almost like a holiday here. A lot of places give people off if they just don't show up. There's a big parade. Everybody celebrates it. So you've got this great baseball town. But the problem is every time they start getting to a point, they did this about like 2 years ago, let Nick Castellanos go over to Philly and let Jesse Winker go. And, they who's your top pitcher right now?
A
big guy by the name of Sonny Gray.
Yeah, Sonny Gray, yeah.
Yeah, you know where you got him from? You got him from the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, that's right. We did, didn't we? We did. Now that you mentioned it, yes. There's been a perpetual fire sale there, hasn't there?
Isn't Tyler Mahle on?
Isn't Tyler Mahle as
well?
Tyler
Mahle also is from the Reds. I was going to mention that too. I mean, the problem is if they would hold on to these players, they could put together an amazing team. But every time they get to the point where they've got the right mix of youth and like guys that have been here for a bit, and they make the playoffs and maybe go to the lose in the first round or maybe make the second round and they look promising, boom, everybody's gone. And so you're absolutely right. Like just the other day, the AAA team, the Louisville Bats, had one kid hit 3 home runs and another one hit for the cycle, and they're not even up on the major league team yet.
Wow.
Jonathan India, who I built, our second baseman's incredible. I think won I remember correctly, won Rookie of the Year, a year ago. They've got some other Tyler Stevenson, the very good hitting catcher, like their center fielder, TJ Friedel, also I think he's got over 800 OPS. They've got talent, but right now they're under 500. They're hurting. And I should say on the pitching side too, They've got two great young pitchers. One of them, Hunter Green, you've probably heard of because he can throw the ball like 147 miles per hour. I mean, seriously, he can hit like 104, 105. It's crazy.
Wow.
What if they still had Sonny Gray instead of having two guys pitching like that well, but the rest of their guys with above 5 ERAs? What if they still had Sonny Gray? What if they still had Tyler Mahle? And that's the answer to your question. If they ever will hold on to the guys who, and let a couple of young, awesome guys come up to join like a burgeoning, growing core, they could be a great team. Because you're right, they're not that many guys away, but I have no faith. I have no faith in ownership. That's the problem.
He wears leisure suits in Cincinnati. Is he not Herb Tarlick then?
He's probably still watching like WKRP. That's how we're all dressing these days. I mean, he's just. I can't use the words. Jack Arse, can I say that?
Yeah, jackass. You can say jackass.
He is the definition of jackass.
Okay.
He's this young, spoiled, like rich, guy who got everything, from his family. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing with baseball. Just won't shut up and he rubs everybody the wrong way, insults people, treats people horribly. That's who you got there, and that's your problem because they could do really well.
It's you got to be careful because it's starting to sound like a lot like Oakland, and they're going to be in Vegas before too long here.
I know. Well, and that's what this guy threatens with. Whenever people complain, like, well, what else are you going to do? We could move the team or whatever. It's like, I actually think. Remember when the Browns were moved and the NFL stepped in and said, no, there will be a new Browns. I mean, if you move the oldest, the most historic team in baseball, they tried to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think there'd be such an uproar. Maybe they could move the team and they bring a new Reds here, which I'd be fine with if somebody else owned it. I mean, these guys they're not willing to spend the money. They're not willing to do what it takes and to have a good team. And again, I get it. They're not the Yankees. They're not the Dodgers. They're not going to spend that kind of money. Not that the Yankees are doing so well these days either, but they're not going to spend that kind of money. But like you guys have found a way to make it work with the market size. Cleveland has found a way to make it work. Kansas City won a World Series a decade or so less ago. I mean, it just means that you can't do it as often, but you can still do it if you build up intelligently. They don't do that.
Okay, we're down for all the people out there that want to hear politics. We're done with this. But speaking of spending wisely, some people are getting a heck of an investment when it comes to Clarence Thomas. Okay. That's
where you want to put your money.
Return there. There's some return. I mean, okay, this is getting, as I said, it's beyond parody at this point. You've got a case where you basically, where just the newest one today is, okay, yesterday we heard his nephew's, tuition was paid for by this weird dude down in Texas. And now we find out his wife, Ginny, was basically they were shipping her money, but they were trying to keep it off the books, so they didn't realize that they basically
were laundering it through a nonprofit. I think the right word is laundering.
Yes, yeah, it's
by
just
the
as
way,
ugly.
Is a crime that Leonard Leo, the head of the Federalist Society, who should probably be in prison for all sorts of reasons, that's a crime. What he did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where to begin and end. As you said, it's so absurd. I did a few things over at the YouTube channel at C Schechter, folks. If you want to find the channel when you go over to YouTube, but I did a couple of things because I did a little commentary today that's going to go up tonight. Because a partner of mine, the channel, interviewed the Justin Elliott, who wrote the original piece for ProPublica that exposed the first part of the relationship with Clarence Thomas and Harlan Crow, the Hitler painting and Nazi teapot collecting freak right wing. Why do all these right wingers, besides wealthy right wingers, besides being wealthy and right wing, have to always turn out to be weirdo freaks?
Right, exactly.
They can't just be conservative. They have to be like. In any case, like this guy owns. You pointed it out, right? Paid for the son, or adopted son. It was his great nephew. Doesn't matter. Treat him like a son. Paid for his private school tuition. He ended up paying for their $500,000 vacation to Malaysia at one point. It's paid for him to go on his super yacht, as it's referred to. Like, it paid for his mom's house, so she wouldn't be stuck paying a mortgage, because that'd be terrible. And then you look at the way this guy's acted on the court, Clarence Thomas, this arrogant, I'll say it, jackass, who has no compassion for anybody else. No, everybody in society who got screwed by their circumstances. He has no compassion. And look at him. I mean, can I say whore too? Because that might be another descriptor. I'm sorry. if
It's
that
an
gets me in
adjective.
trouble.
We're using it as an adjective.
There you go.
It's an
I
English
mean,
class, kids.
he's just. I mean, sorry. He's disgusting. And then there's Ginny Thomas, who has all these groups funded by right wingers that try to overthrow our government, and then those cases end up in front of her husband. And now, as you just pointed out, we find out that Leonard Leo, the head of the Federalist Society, who we just found out a couple of days ago, had brought in $1.6 billion in dark money to install these 5 justices. The first 5, by the way, on the court, 5 of the 6 in the court right now, besides Clarence Thomas, are the first 5 the only 5 ever to be installed by a minority of the voting public, as in presidents who could not win a majority.
Mhm.
And so it's like, they don't represent a majority view. They give us these crazy decisions, like an individual right to own a firearm was laughed out of court by conservative justices for 2 centuries. Abortion rights was considered something that was a precedent that was binding under privacy. Voting rights, nobody, thought that could happen until it did. Let's not get into Citizens United. I mean, they've done everything in their power to undermine democratic principles. One person, one vote. Separation of powers. They've destroyed this country, and they're all corrupt. And all I talked about there, was Thomas, not Gorsuch's land deals with the what do you call it, a partner at a corporate firm, and he just forgot to mention who it was, who ends up in front of their court a lot. And what's his face, Justice Roberts' wife, who's out there like, I'm not going to be a lawyer anymore. I'm going to be a legal recruiter for big firms, and I'm sure they'll hire me to recruit lawyers, and it'll have nothing to do with the fact that they've got business before my husband. I mean, it's like, it's a joke. You can't find the right words for it. It's so ridiculous.
You brought up Roberts, and here's the interesting thing: is to a point, I like Roberts. I think that he kind of saw where things were going, and I think he knew where this was going to go well before everyone else did. That's why he always looked exasperated. That being said, I think that he himself has talked about the integrity of the court and the public perception of the court, and the fact that you can't lose faith in the Supreme Court, which is gone now. For the life of me, I mean, with the bounty of evidence, and maybe it's just self-preservation because, as you brought up, the other issues, but the reality is with Thomas, it's beyond parody. I mean, you've got a guy. I mean, the guy that Harlan Crow bought all this land for him. And, oh, by the way, mom still lives on the property, and I'm sure that's never come up with any kind of Supreme Court case. It's stuff like this that is just. It's embarrassing how clearly compromised Clarence Thomas is as a Supreme Court justice. And yet, Roberts, who seems to want to be sheriff on that, seems to be reluctant to call him out.
Yeah, well, he's completely reluctant. He won't say anything. They won't institute. I mean, a court not having ethics rules, not having an ethical code they have to live by. I mean, I tell this story. I was the communications director for the Ohio State Treasurer. In 2009, and one of 5 statewide elected officials here. And, it's an office that obviously handles the money. A lot of banks want contracts with them for various things that they do. I was the comms director. I had nothing to do with any of those decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a friend of mine who also happened to lobby for a variety of clients, and one of them was a bank that wanted business in the office, had tickets to the Columbus Clippers, who were then a AAA team for the Yankees. It may be the Guardians now. They're no longer for the Yankees. But, and so, offered me this ticket. It was $25. $25. And I had no say over what banks we chose. And it was and they thought I'm going to be bought for $25, and I had to turn it down. Mm-hmm. Because that would have been considered an ethics violation. The Thomases have accepted millions. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd the things that people have actually gone to prison for, the kinds of campaign violations and whatever, whether Democrat or Republican. People have gone to prison and got into all sorts of trouble for $5,000, $10,000, whatever. We're talking about somebody here where he's accepted millions, he and his wife. And to me, it's like the old rule when I was growing up in New York City, which was if you saw one cockroach, there were 100 hiding.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I'm sorry. I bet we don't even know like the 1/100th of it yet, because these guys are out there now. Every reporter is digging for this stuff. I promise you, there's more with Thomas. And before I shut up on this, I'll say quickly, Kavanaugh is every bit as bad. We know also that came out in the last 2 weeks. I mean, my God, it's up and flying. That what we knew, there's a sham of an investigation. Senator Grassley shut down any Senate Judiciary investigation into the sexual harassment and assault, accusations made against this guy by scores of women. There were over 4,000 tips called in the FBI. They were told to shut down their investigation, and they did. And we also, so the sexual harassment and sexual assault stuff is there, just like with Clarence Thomas. And we also still have no idea, because no investigation was ever done. The guy had a $92,000 country club bill. Who paid it? He had a $200,000 in credit card debt. Who paid it? And he had a $1.2 million mortgage that magically disappeared. Who paid it? We don't know any of these things. So to me, not starting a massive investigation into both Kavanaugh and Thomas is a dereliction of duty.
Mm-hmm.
Gorsuch and Roberts and others have issues, and certainly issues worth thinking about investigating. But these two, I mean, could there be more reasons to investigate these two than there are?
Well, and we should point out Kavanaugh's his whole alibi was based on a kid. This is the FBI and the Republicans pushed this, was based on it was another kid. That kid wasn't even in college at the time this happened. He was a senior in high school. And so how in the heck the FBI and the Republicans pushed this forward, it clearly was a cover-up to get Kavanaugh on the bench. And yeah, that's disgusting. I did want to take some time, though, if we can shift topics. Yesterday was a glorious day. There was, some convictions of the Proud Boys and the seditious conspiracy of the attack on the U.S. Capitol. I was concerned. I talked about this when this came down yesterday, and I said I was concerned that, considering it was taking so long, that they might walk. But the reality is these are such complicated crimes. Give credit to the jury. They did their due diligence, went through everything, dotted every I, crossed every T. And I think they had 4 out of the 5 they got on seditious conspiracy. The 5th one, they're still actually debating that. But needless to say, there are some people that the Proud Boys are going to go to jail for a while.
And the main guy, Enrique Tarrio, his name correctly, who, by the way, folks, all you have to do is Google and you will find every prominent Republican from Ted Cruz to Lindsey Graham in pictures with this guy. Every one of them.
Yes.
Just hanging out with them. I mean, in terms of Proud Boys or Oath Keepers, they're Nazis. I mean, that's what they espouse, that ideology. And the seditious conspiracy is incredibly important. I mean, there's other charges there, that obviously the DOJ are looking at, because there were many other crimes committed, like interrupting official business of Congress is a crime when they were trying to count the electoral votes. And there's assault, and there's trespassing, and there's probably 15 other things. But seditious conspiracy is the most important one. They had found this earlier with the Oath Keepers too. By the way, they had an Oath Keeper who a former staffer too. Oh, right, Rand Paul, because of course. And this is because this sets the precedent of seditious conspiracy. We can also call that what it is. Treason was committed. They were attacking the United States government to overthrow our government. And they were being encouraged and led on by the coup plotting guy named Donald Trump and all these guys around him. And since then, the recording came out of Ted Cruz talking to that lunatic Maria Bartiromo, who I'm not sure her cerebral cortex is functioning anymore. And when he said to her that he was going to try to come up with some fake commission to overthrow. I mean, there are traitors among us.
Yes,
and not a few of them. There's many of them.
And it seems like what the mentality is, and it's interesting because the special counsel seems to be laser focused on this stuff. We have to remind everyone, Trump, I think, knew he had one chance at this, and we have the story of him trying to grab the steering wheel in the Secret Service vehicle to turn the vehicle around, and the Secret Service basically telling the president, no, it's just way too risky. We are not going back there, and took him back to the White House. And, that there clearly are a lot of people that are hoping that between the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and these people that are seditious, that have now been convicted, that this will be enough, that they won't look at the Josh Hawleys, they won't look at the Ted Cruzes, they won't look at the Madison Hawthorns and the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the rest of them, who clearly were part of this. If any other thing was there, they were there to slow the whole system down in case they had to. And we should not forget Lauren Boebert putting out actual detailed play-by-play of where Speaker Pelosi was the entire time to the mob outside.
Yes, and we should also never forget that the way the South, after the Civil War, tried to undermine not just Reconstruction, but any attempt, obviously, towards going to a future of a united country where African Americans were treated equally as were all other people, was and to continue their conspiracy against the United States was to install people in key positions. in government, in banking, in all sorts of places. A friend reminded me of that recently. There's some great books out there on this. That was their way of in their hope, and they failed. They certainly succeeded in ending Reconstruction and causing misery for untold probably millions, but they were unable to break apart our government. But that's what they were trying to do long after the Civil War. So anybody doesn't think that that some of these folks, you find out that Supreme Court justices are installed by treasonous billionaires. You don't think members of Congress are too? Staff members of theirs, people in the bureaucracy, in the different cabinet departments embedded in there. They're everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not a conspiracy. We know. We know the people that were meeting at the hotel with Donald Trump. You named a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how to overthrow the government and voicemails left on a reporter's that day by that idiot Giuliani, by mistake when he's trying to call Tommy Tuberville. And I mean, there's so much evidence, and there's so many and again, if you do not root them out, if you do not prosecute them, if they do not pay a price, it just encourages others to do it in the future.
It will be done again. Absolutely. And I hope that Roger Stone's another name we need to throw out there that needs to. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people think these conspiracy charges, these guilty charges might actually be the path to Roger Stone. Now, I don't think he'd ever turn on Trump, but he's in trouble. If all of a sudden these guys start to turn, because he was that kind of, he sure seems like he was the contact person from the White House to these extremist groups. So that's interesting there.
And to Assange and when it came to the Russia stuff and sharing, the emails that were stolen. I mean, I hope he doesn't share anything, because I want him to spend the rest of his life in prison. There will be plenty of stuff on Trump from numerous other sources. Let Roger Stone keep his stupid mouth shut and sit in prison the rest of his life. That's fine by me.
Cliff, who do the Yankees have this weekend?
Oh God, we've got a break right now, and I think we've got Tampa coming up.
Oh,
so that could go well.
Oh gosh, you got to beat Tampa. We're at Cleveland, so I'm kind of hoping this is our first look at the Twins versus the Guardians, and it'll be interesting if they can take 2 out of 3. I think the Twins are gonna. This is already over in the Central. I think it will be. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, the Central, you guys are good, and some of those teams are scarily not good.
Oh
so.
God. Detroit, Kansas City.
Yeah,
we're not looking that bad right now. Cliff Schechter, once again, the Blue Am Strategy YouTube channel. If you are not following that, if you're not subscribed, you are just wrong. I'll link to that a little bit later on. Cliff, as always, a pleasure. Thank you very much for the time.
My pleasure. Thanks, buddy. Have a great weekend.
You too, sir. Cliff Schechter. My show is always better when Cliff is on it. Let's take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
I'm Angela Warner for Warner Stellian. Sometimes appliances break. Other times you spend years wishing they would. We get it. That's why right now we're paying you to upgrade with our trade-in sale. We'll pay you $50 for each appliance you replace. Our in-store specialists take out the guesswork of wondering what's the best one and which one will fit. Then Warner Stellian professional crews will deliver, install, and take your old stuff away, saving you time and money. So outsource your stress and shop family-owned Warner Stellian.
The Mary T family of companies serves seniors and people with a wide range of disabilities. We provide home health care, hospice services, and accessible rental housing. This is Mary T, and we'd like you to join us. We're hiring direct care professionals, CNAs, nurses, and other support services. Our mission is to provide quality, personalized services to meet the unique and evolving needs of the people that we serve. Join a Minnesota family-owned company that was founded on a history of care. Apply today at marytinc.com/careers.
Hey, it's Tom. Solar panels are a great asset to your home, and they increase your property value. Plus, they're the only home improvement project that pays for itself by saving you money on your utility costs. With spring being the season of home renovations, it's a great time to learn more about the benefits of going solar, so you can finally break free from your monthly utility bill. Attend a free webinar from All Energy Solar to learn more. These webinars will show you why going solar is a powerful investment for your home and tell you about local and federal incentive programs, including the 30% federal tax credit. These free virtual events are hosted by All Energy Solar experts who are ready to answer all your questions about solar, no matter what type of property you have. If you're someone who's thought about going solar but are unsure, then these webinars are perfect for you. Visit allenergysolar.com/webinar to register and start your solar journey. That's allenergysolar.com/webinar.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. God, it's nice to have Schechter on. We did not get to Trump's trial with E. Jean Carroll. He came back and put a deposition together on this. Aaron Rupar earlier today, he posted a clip that they aired this on CNN. This is okay. Once again, this is a guy who's on trial for rape in the case, and so yeah, I think it's an interesting strategy Trump's going for. Why don't we go ahead and play this? We could
read the next. Go ahead. That she's not my type. Yeah, because it's not politically correct to say it, and I know that, but I'll say it anyway. She's accusing me of rape. A woman that I have no idea who she is. It came out of the blue. She's accusing me of rape, of raping her. The worst thing you can do, the worst charge. And you know it's not true too. You're a political operative also. You're a disgrace. But she's accusing me, and so are you, of rape, and it never took place. And I will tell you, I made that statement, and I said, well, it's politically incorrect. She's not my type, and that's 100% true. She's not my.
Well, that is an interesting strategy. Now, first of all, it should be noted we have him on tape in the Access Hollywood videotape, or on audio on a videotape of him talking about raping a woman, physically grabbing him, grab him by the blank, right? That's rape. He was talking about a married woman. He said, I can just go up there and grab them and do that. And okay, so fine. You want to call it sexual assault and not rape? It's kind of rapey. And so the act like this guy is like, what are you talking about? Where did you ever get the idea that I was not a decent individual? You disgust me. You disgust me. He does have a real Jabba the Hutt quality to him, doesn't he?
He's a weird shade of orange in that video too. He's not looking good.
Well, is that
not
really,
that he ever was?
Was that his health, or is that just his eyesight going? Is his color palette starting to vague? You know,
I mean, I know he normally has a weird kind of.
Come on, Donald, ask Sherwin-Williams, man. They'll get you that orange you need. Okay, you get away from the Home Depot orange. You want to go a little bit lighter, okay? He does not look good, and I will be the first to say, holy cow. I mean, as I hear this, do you ever seen this? You ever watch the Simpsons episodes when like Homer's on trial and he says something and all of a sudden you'll hear the jury whispering themselves, guilty, 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 guilty. He says this, and the first thing I think of is guilty, 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 guilty. I mean, does anyone think that I think he knows he's in trouble in this case. I think he knows he's in real big trouble in this case. And he just basically wants, he can either go about it where he is, I'm this poor innocent victim. I didn't do anything. All my best to her. I have no idea who she is, but that's not me. Or he can go on out like he usually does, is she's evil. You're evil. Everybody's evil. I'm the only good guy left. That guy. Sure thing, Batman. Oh, yes. Ugh. That is amazing audio. And that's being aired in a trial to try to prove his innocence. Let me tell you how many reasons I don't like everybody on the jury. That guy over there, he's a little pasty. I think there's something wrong with him. I don't, that woman next to him, clearly a 2. I wouldn't get near her with the 10-foot pole. Jesus. Well, good luck. I talked to Jack Rice today because I was going to see if I could get him on today on this. I said, he was busy. I said, don't worry, Jack. After Trump's convicted next week, we'll have you on next. And Jack goes, I'll be there. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll get into some other things when we do return. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
2023 is here, and you can make it the year of the Eagle with the National Eagle Center. You and your family can enjoy exciting Eagle experiences, including field trips, private habitat tours, and exclusive behind-the-scenes tours. Meet live eagles up close, view bald eagles and golden eagles in the wild, and receive personal one-on-one education with dedicated and knowledgeable Eagle experts as you journey into the world of eagles like never before. Learn more and plan your unforgettable Eagle experience today at nationaleaglecenter.org/experiences.
Consumer Reports published their 2023 Best Vehicles report, and Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota dominate the list again. The Corolla Hybrid, the Corolla Cross, and the Camry all top their best value new cars categories. The Camry Hybrid, the Highlander Hybrid, the Corolla Hybrid, and RAV4 Prime all ranked as best green choices. And my personal favorite, the Toyota Sienna, also ranked in the top of its class. Toyotas are not only gorgeous, they're best buys. Test drive one today by going to Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station is located on a marsh, and we do our best not to disturb that environment. So I was thrilled to discover Natural Lawn. Their safer products and soil tests ensure that your lawn will be healthy, lush, and green. I don't even have to worry about bringing my furry friend to the station, thanks to the great care from Natural Lawn. I highly recommend Natural Lawn to keep your lawn beautiful, healthy, without compromising safety and sustainability. More at naturalawn.com.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with the high near 66. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 55. And Saturday, rain with the high near 67.
Get paid to upgrade. Warner Stellian will buy your appliance for $50 during our trade-in sale. No one else saves you more time from shopping to free professional delivery like Warner Stellian. Put us to the test. Shop Minnesota family-owned WarnerStellian.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Someone put out a meme out on Twitter here. You got one ticket. Who are you buying? All of these people have passed away. Michael Jackson, Prince, Elvis, Amy Winehouse, Bob Marley, Kurt Cobain, Selena, Tupac, Whitney Houston, George Michael, Notorious B.I.G., Aaliyah. So, that's not easy. Because, I mean, Prince obviously is just, I mean, did anyone ever really see, I mean, I think there were some problems towards the end with the drugs, but when he was in his prime, did anyone ever see a bad show with Prince? No. Elvis, early Vegas Elvis would be a hoot to go watch. Bob Marley was apparently amazing to watch in concert. Michael Jackson, I mean, he could do 4 hours and just play top 10 hits. Most of them number one hits. Whitney Houston, Selena, George Michael, a very underrated catalog. He's got a lot there too. And then it got Kurt Cobain there. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, and nothing against fans of Amy Winehouse. I like Amy Winehouse quite a bit, but she kind of is a little bit, I just don't know. Yeah, it's not a real decision for me on any of those versus Amy Winehouse. I'd take the other, got most of these other people I just mentioned. But yeah, who anyone jump out at you?
That's a stacked lineup, right?
That
there.
is.
I might have to scalp these tickets and make some money.
Elvis,
I would probably have to go with Elvis just because of how, especially like those 50 shows early when
Michael Jackson, though. I mean, and that's the wall I ran into. I think you and I are similar in this, is that Elvis was just freaking Elvis. And did you see the Elvis movie?
I did. Yeah. That's why it was interesting when you said the Vegas shows. Those weren't very good for him.
Well, no, the early ones when he first started and he had the band and it was in control. It got bad for him towards the end. No, but when he first started on Vegas, when Parker took him over there, I mean, that was the idea. I mean, that became the iconic Vegas show. And but Michael Jackson, I mean, and granted, yes, Both of these guys had their baggage, undeniably. I don't know. That's a tougher call. And Bob Marley. And then, I mean, I'm probably unique that way. Bob Marley is, there's a reason why he's considered still the greatest reggae star of all time. And I don't think anyone's even gotten close to him yet. And beloved by so many different genres.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one really is against Bob Marley.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? I'm against Bob Marley. I hate that guy. Really? Ghost of Marley from Scrooge, because he was a bad guy. No. Cinco de Mayo today. That's, I mean, once again, my bilingual status is not very good, so that's about all I can get. I can tell you it's Cinco de Mayo, which is the 5th of May. Thank you to the friends over at the Sahan Journal who put out a list of Cinco de Mayo events going on. There's a taco food fight in the North Loop. Now, actually, I don't think it's a food fight. Well, actually, it's called the Cinco de Mayo food fight. All right. If I got tacos, I'm not throwing them. I'm just going to let you know. You want to throw tacos at me? I'll just open my mouth, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that's not a very smart. Why would you throw tacos? That's good.
It's just, no, you want more rotten produce in this kind of thing. A taco. Come on. But imagine, I mean, man, taco trucks. Remember when Donald Trump promised us taco trucks on every corner? Where did that ever happen? Why is that not America? Have you seen some of these taco trucks, what they're doing? Unbelievable. The Cinco de Mayo food fight is over on, it's tonight from 5 until 8 at Gray's Provisions and Libations on North 4th. So they got multiple vendors there. So, and 1 second here. So just, be advised. I'm not condoning. We don't have anything to do with any of these. I'm just reading this off the website here of Sahan Journal. So that's all we get. So there's a dance party, a Latin dance night. Here we go. At the Wabasha Street Caves. How cool. 215 Wabasha. That goes from 7 to 10 tonight. Cinco de Mayo dance party in the caves. They also have over in St. Paul, the Cinco de Mayo Festival is going from 10 and goes to tomorrow. Okay, wait a second. I don't mean to be a stickler for the rules here. It's Cinco de Mayo. Cinco Seis. That'd be seis. Cinco Seis. Seis de Mayo. That wouldn't be the day, would it? It's tomorrow. It's Cinco de Mayo Festival tomorrow from 10 until 5. 179 Robbie Street in St. Paul. It's a free event. But the food trucks have individual costs. In southern Minnesota, there's a few. In Albert Lea, the Cinco de Mayo Festival is at Central Park. That's going to be going till 8 p.m. tonight. That goes all day. Nicely done. And then Cinco de Mayo, they got this is going to be the Parlay Lounge and Treasure Island Resort Casino in Welch, Minnesota. You can stop on by for that. That goes until 12:30 tonight. Hello there. Going into the 6th. A free concert attendees must be 21 and older, though. So get out, kids. Yeah, I'm all for that. I think this is one of the best parts. If you ever lived in a small rural town where basically every time you went out to eat, your vegetables were served deep fried with ranch dipping sauce. I mean, even like broccoli, everything. You could, if you looked at them and said, well, can I have them not deep fried? They look at you like you just, can I spit on your dog? I mean, that's, it's, I just want to cut down the cholesterol a little bit. That's all. That's just, no, I can't. Okay. Give me them along with the extra cheese on the steak. Yum. Who doesn't love Velveeta? Yikes. Yikes. Anyway, I love the fact that we have multicultural, multi-diversity, these great events. I think it's a great way for me to go experience the culture and usually get great food. And that's the real pound for pound winner right there. You're going to get great food because generally these things are not bringing in their B teams. They're bringing in the A teams to show off what they got. Should we go get some tacos time, man? Should we go get them?
That's what a pre-recorded in the second hour.
We're done. Bye. I'll put the Mike Lindell thing in the chair here and just no one will know. No one will know. 9.5. Okay, fine. Contractually obligated to stay here for the full show. You're welcome. You're welcome. I will say, if I can I'm going to take the rest of this hour to talk. Once again, I think the right has gone freaking crazy. I think the right has been broken. I'll start off with I'm not the only one who's noticing this. Cooligan over at the Reformer brought this up. I'm getting deja vu lately because I keep hearing a phrase from Minnesota Republicans that is some variation of how Democrats are jamming this or that they don't like down our throats. Representative Dave Baker, Republican from Wilmer, contrasting his own paid family and medical leave proposal to the Democrats. It's a really good idea. It's not forcing something down someone's throat. By the way, do not have Thanksgiving with Dave Baker. Whoa. Would I like some potatoes? Why, sure. One way to take down a taco. Representative Pet Garofalo from Farmington. There's a lot of things happening in the Capitol with the Democrats jamming things down people's throats, but sports gambling is not going to be one of them. Okay, it's just if you're really concerned about this stuff, then you might want to be. Well, never mind. Former Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka, that's right, Midnight Oil himself. Minnesota Democrats jammed a liberal agenda down our throats. I think we're getting an idea of something. Okay, I'll just be as vague as I can. I think we're starting to see a pattern here that tells us a little bit about certain lifestyle desires by the people on the right. I don't mean to judge, but going back to Cooligan, the reason I have deja vu is because President Barack Obama, who was elected convincingly twice, was also accused of jamming this or that down someone's gullet. Trump administration propagandist Sean Spicer said Obamacare was jammed down everyone's throat. I found two references in the Denver Post from the Obama years. It's my goal, to conservative operator said, to make sure that Washington doesn't jam Obamacare down the throats of Coloradans. Another time this editorial page got mad at Senator Michael Bennet when he insisted on supporting Obamacare. It seems Colorado Senator Michael Bennet would rather jam it down our throats. To be sure, Democrat or two has used this in imagery as well. It's not policing language, but it's just once I request a new metaphor. This jamming down the throat business is menacing imaging of torture, which it kind of is. And I mean, and I want to make sure I point out, this is the thing I point out. My job here is to point out hypocrisy. If anything, that's one of the things I do, and I love doing it, and I'm pretty good at doing it too. I figured this out. Back in September and October, Republicans would have rallies with their little groups, and they'd sit there and they were talking about, when we win everything in the state, we're going to jam our agenda down their throats. They were bragging about doing that. And now, all of a sudden, now that it's happening, they're jamming stuff down our throats. Dude, what kind of upbringing did you have? Ugh. Who wants watermelon? Oh, God. Seriously, what? You guys really have this fantasy thing down, I guess. I don't know what it is, but he's right. You guys constantly use this language. We're going to jam this down your throats. And then when all of a sudden you lose everything, they're jamming things down our throat. What is wrong with you people? I mean, there is something really mentally wrong with you. That this is your go-to. We're being oppressed. It's no longer. It's just all you have to do. Can I just say this? All you have to do is say we disagree with them. We disagree with them. We would not be doing it this way. Instead, you got to make it seem like, well, on one side, when you're relishing the idea of being in the power position, you're talking about how we're going to jam things down their throats. But then all of a sudden, now that you're not in the power position, now all of a sudden they're jamming things down our throats. Well, but you guys yourself, this was your own analogy. This is your own analogy. You know, I don't know. I mean, seriously, you might want to go talk to a counselor about that. I mean, I don't judge, man. You guys, you do whatever you want to in the privacy of your own house. The Republicans are the ones that are trying to kick in the door of your bedroom and tell you how to do and not do things, which, yeah, that's all I need is the ghost of Tim Pawlenty or someone coming in here is, let me tell you about intercourse. No, God, no. Thank you. No, I don't need that. You shouldn't have been saying we're going to force things down people's throats back in September, October. You shouldn't be sitting here trying to create a pity party for you because before the election, Democrats said they're going to do a bunch of stuff, taxes on rich people and corporations, tax rebates, credits for the less well-off, lots of spending in education, social services, protection of abortion rights and LGBTQ rights, driver's licenses for people who are undocumented, an expansive view of democracy to make sure everyone can participate, including the formerly incarcerated, legalizing marijuana, climate policies, a public health insurance option, paid family and medical leave. They even gave us a preview. The House DFL, which has been in the majority since 2019, already passed much of it, but were stymied by the GOP-controlled Senate. Then Democrats won free and fair election, and it was a close election, but they won. And now they're doing the stuff they promised their supporters they would do. That's not jamming anything anywhere. That's basically delivering as promised. And you see, and that's the thing is, it just eats you guys up inside. It just eats you up. That they said they were going to do this. You said, look at that maniac crew. And they got voted into office by the majority, fair and square, because they didn't trust you. You guys need to take a break. You guys got to revisit your platform because Generation Z is not buying it. You got to figure out ways that can sell your ideas that don't include somewhat like an ex-boyfriend stalking someone, and you gotta stop with the freaking jamming this down our throats. But the insanity of the right continues. I'll talk about that when I return. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Dare to be great and up your game both personally and professionally. If you're feeling stuck in a rut and unsure how to achieve your goals, then check out the Dare to be Great event on May 20th at the Parkview Event Center at the Mall of America. It features two amazing nationally known speakers to give you that extra motivation. Jack Canfield, the legendary success coach and founder of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, will share his proven formula for success with over 100 million books sold. And Michael Vukovic, the soulful success coach and author of The Mind, the Muscle, the Miracle, will inspire and empower the audience with science, philosophy, and evolutionary wisdom. General admission tickets are $197, while VIP tickets are $297 and include a private lunch and Q&A with the speakers and discounted tickets to the Nickelodeon theme park. Don't miss this amazing opportunity to learn from two gifted speakers and move your life from good to great. That's the Dare to be Great event on Saturday, May 20th from 8 to 4 at the Parkview Event Center at the Mall of America. Tickets and details at outrageoussuccess.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Tune in this Saturday morning right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing dealing with bugs in your garden, as well as 4 fruit trees that you may want to consider. Our guest is Dr. Linda Chalker-Scott, garden professor, and we'll answer your garden questions. That's all this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950. Tell a friend and let's grow together.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. So like I said, I don't think the right is mentally stable right now. I've just had this. I've been exposed to a lot of people on the right over this last week, and there's just something really wrong with them. And one great example of this, I posted this earlier today on my page, and it was this basically this response. This guy says, he says to me, multiple people said to me, there's no restaurants open in Minneapolis, Matt. No one is going there. There's no restaurants, period. This is they lost them all when they raised the minimum wage, which is laughable. I mean, it is really laughable. And you can multiple people, not just myself, but multiple people that are following me brought up just maps of Minneapolis where they hit food on the search button and there are pins everywhere. Well, the next thing they come up is like, well, okay, fine. Minneapolis has them, but there's not one in Uptown. So I go to Uptown. I just went there, and you can go see it on my web. I pull up Uptown and just type in food in Uptown, and it gives me like 20 buttons. So there's tons of restaurants in Uptown. And this thing was like, oh, some real gems. Okay, that's not the point. Your whole point was there was no restaurants in Minneapolis. I said, that's laughable. Then you said, well, there's no restaurants in Uptown. Well, I said, well, no, there are a lot of restaurants in Uptown. And then you basically say, well, those don't count. Now, I want to stop there, but I want to move to the other thing I ran into today, which is I've had multiple Republicans over the last 2 years talk about, we need to secede from this state. I mean, as a matter of fact, wasn't it Munson? Was it Munson that put that forward? Jeremy Munson? I can't remember. Munson was the one that was saying we're going to take off the western side of the state and merge with South Dakota, and things are going to be great, which we laughed at because, most of those counties actually get subsidized by the Twin Cities metro area because they can't afford their own bills. So it will be a surprise when they all of a sudden don't have our cash cow coming the way. But then, and I've said this, and I've said this many times. I mean, if you are this unhappy here, move. You might want to call that bitter. And no. You just go find some place to be happy, for God's sakes. You shouldn't just stay here and be miserable. And so, and then the minute I say this is, how dare you say I should move? You're the one that's full of hate. Now, there are plenty of examples in all my social medias of these things. I've had private messages, DM, blah, 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 blah. I've gotten tons of this stuff. Both of those situations with the restaurant thing and with either the idea of seceding the western part of the state to the Dakotas or the idea of, well, if you don't like it here, leave. I've now had a new strategy by the Republicans. Who said it? Matt. I want the exact quote that matches my quote, which you never really said happened, but you have to match this, and you have to show me it 18 times before I'm going to say it actually happened. Dude, just look at my freaking timeline. It's the same sense as like, you don't have restaurants. Well, you got a phone, right? Just go to your maps feature and type in food, pull up Uptown and type in, you can find it yourself. Dear Lord, this is the saddest thing about Republicans today. They are constantly being proven wrong. And instead of just saying, you know what? I guess I was wrong. My bad. I'm out. They just, no, I didn't. No one ever said that. It was not there. It was over here. You're a liar, man. Number 2 is up next.
The St. Paul Art Collective is thrilled to announce the return of the St. Paul Art Crawl this spring. And new for 2023, the St. Paul Art Crawl will now span 4 weekends through May 7th. The St. Paul Art Crawl will feature different districts each weekend, so you will have more opportunities to see more artists and performances. The event will showcase the work of local artists from 10 distinct art districts in St. Paul. This year's crawl promises to be bigger and better than ever, with 26 different venues hosting hundreds of talented artists, live music, dance, and delicious local food. As the longest-running art crawl in the United States, the St. Paul Art Crawl is an iconic event for art lovers and collectors alike. You can explore the city's diverse neighborhoods and experience the unique creative visions of each artist. So wander the St. Paul Art Crawl and discover the wonder of it all. That's every weekend through May 7th. For more information about the Spring Art Crawl and how to donate, visit stpaulartcollective.org.
Hey, Minnesota, it's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. A Wall Street rally thanks to Apple. The tech giant reported higher than expected profits today. That set the stock market higher. The NASDAQ added 269 points, the Dow up 546. A favorable jobs report also had investors cheering. Here's our Sagar Magani.
Employers added 253,000 jobs last month. The solid showing came as the government reported hiring was weaker than previously estimated in both February and March. The unemployment rate is down to 3.4%, matching a 54-year low.
The Biden administration's bracing for a huge surge of migrants at the U.S. southern border next week when COVID-related restrictions are lifted. Customs and Border Protection official Carrie Huffman was in Brownsville, Texas today.
We're surging resources quickly all across the border to different places that we needed. We've increased our capacity by a third over the last 24 months to help us be prepared for this.
The streets of El Paso are already packed with those seeking asylum. 2 murder charges are lodged against a stabbing suspect in Davis, California. Police say Carlos Dominguez, a former university student, had a large knife in his backpack when he was caught. The head of the World Health Organization says COVID-19 no longer poses a global health emergency, but that countries still need to control its spread.
Last week, COVID-19 claimed life every 3 minutes.
In London, dignitaries and tourists are arriving for tomorrow's coronation of King Charles. He and his wife recorded a message for those riding the tube.
My wife and I wish you and your families a wonderful coronation weekend.
The National Weather Service says that a record May snowfall buried parts of Michigan's Upper Peninsula with more than 2 feet of snow this week. This is AP News.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
SeniorCommunities.guide is your free online website to find housing, care, and resources for seniors in Minnesota. Use the powerful, award-winning search tool to quickly improve your search. You will have all the information you need to contact providers directly without any hassle. Start your search now at SeniorCommunities.guide and follow us on Facebook for interesting articles, helpful advice, and how older adults are changing the world.
SeniorCommunities.guide. Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 66. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 55. And Saturday, rain with a high near 67. Latunji's Palette is home of the best peach cobbler in the world. Their social enterprise business is built with purpose and fortified with love. Come and indulge in their gourmet desserts, sandwiches, and coffee drinks, including vegan and gluten-free options. Located at 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis or at latunjispalette.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Hour number 2 of I got a good song for us to end out the week with, too, by the way. I got a good one. Oh, 952-946-6205. Okay, so yesterday we heard when Mayor Fry was in his little, State of the City address, he brought up the fact that Taste of Minnesota is coming back. That for the first time since 2015, which that's great. I'm very happy about that. I always enjoyed that. That's a fun event. It's good food, man, too. Here's another one. Here, you want us? The world is correcting itself. The world is healing. Grand Old Days is back. You see this one?
Oh, that's back to okay.
Yeah, they announced
kind of bringing it back.
The St. Paul's unofficial start to summer is officially back on thanks to new and expanded sponsorships and partnerships facilitated by the St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce. Grand Old Days officials said their 3-year hiatus is over. We are 100% on, everything right on track, said Chris Jensen, president of Grand Avenue Business Association and co-chair of Grand Old Days. We hope it continues for years to come. The June 4th festival will kick off in the morning with a 2-mile fun run. That's some fun for everybody. Followed by a parade featuring Chef Justin Sutherland as Grand Marshal. Sutherland's new Big E restaurant is scheduled to open on Grand this month. So it should be open for the good. Okay. Grand Old Days officials pointed to new partnerships with various outlets to an example to help they receive from the St. Paul Chamber. There will be 7 stages in all, including a Kenton House stage with Irish music and Celtic dancers. More music. I'm guessing the Guinness is going to be flowing over there. Just FYI. And by the way, can I tell you, on a hot summer day, is there anything better than a thick beer? Boy. And a nap. There will also be a family fun zone. Oh, God. Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. A pickleball exhibition.
You going to be playing?
No. I can't tell you. I still go on hikes occasionally, and I'll be walking someplace, and all of a sudden you'll hear I'm like, God. It's like a drunk horse somewhere around here. I want to, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to start going to pickleball courts and being a fan and just, you suck. You should have had that.
Oh, you got to be it'd be the heckler. There's no hecklers in pickleball. I think you might be onto something.
Oh, if you could only hit that ball, wiffle ball at me at harder than 8 miles an hour, I might be a little scared. You might want to try a tennis racket if you want to. Never mind. It's if you can't run enough for tennis and the eye-hand coordination isn't quite there for ping pong, have I got a game for you? It's called pickleball. Now I know letters and complaints are about to pour into AM 950 that Matt McNeil is a jackass. He's just a jackass. Pickleball is fun. I have no doubt. As a matter of fact, many times when I was doing my walking, because I could not do anything else when I had my broken back, and so I'd walk on the track at the Y. There'd be many times they'd actually have 3 pickleball courts set up down there, and they were going, man. They were playing serious, like, okay, no, I can't really get down there. It's a legit sport. It looks like too much of fun, but it is just funny how the world has bowed to the strong arm of the pickleball industry at this point. We don't have a chance. And by the way, where are the freaking pickles? Come on. You got pickleball. You should have pickles. There should be pickles available.
Well, if when you're going out there to heckle, maybe you should bring some of your pickles with you and offer them to the winning team.
They don't deserve those pickles. I mean, I'll just go find some old barrel pickles. There you go. But gosh, if that was the case, if you had pickleball courts where they sold pickles, I would be all over that action. I'd be sitting there. Hey, ladies, mind if I have a pickle? I would. That'd be me having a great time, covered in vinegar and brine. Oh, delicious. 4 or 5 of those, and it's a sweaty day. Oh, it's going to be a magical time. I'll have my own fog. By the way, still the best pickle they ever had. And I haven't seen this over at the new Saints Stadium, but remember when the Saints were over in Midway and they had out on the third base line, there was a stand out there. Those were the best freaking pickles, hands down. I don't know. Have you been? When was the last time you were at a Saints game?
Midway Stadium. I've been there a couple times. Well, obviously it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But, I used to go a couple times a year. When it's
They're roaming the empty lot now.
Yeah. Kind of wondering when the team's going to come back and play.
Yeah, this is a long road.
Long road trip.
No, I do love the pickle over at the State Fair, but man, if you're gonna have pickleball, bring some pickles in. Guess what? I'm on board. I am your pickle man. Tell me what I can do. 952-946-6205. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying sometimes. 952-946-6205. I want to get into something here, and I want to because it's Friday, and I want to make sure we understand the fight that's ahead of us. In case you've missed it, there's a lot of far-right loon balls out there pushing a lot of hate, a lot of discrimination against the transgender community, the LGBTQ community, drag queens. This is who they are. And this is, and I've talked about this multiple times, this is a frantic Republican Party. If you actually talk to people who are within politics that work with Republicans, they'll all say the same thing. They got scared to death the day after the Roe v. Wade ruling, the overturning of Roe v. Wade last year, that because quite literally the phones just stopped ringing. Now, they still ring for Trump, but they're not ringing for the Republican Party. And it was clear from that moment forward that things were going to get tough for them. And if you talk to anyone that was not just absorbed into one party politics at that point, they would say that within the Republican circles, there was a Mayday panic going on. Now, the funny thing is I've also heard this. There was a lot of people that were trying to wave the red flag saying, oh my gosh, we got to, fire warning here. And there were a lot of people high up in state parties across the country who basically ignored them and said, no, you're crazy. And sure, in states like Mississippi, they didn't really have too much problem down there. Tennessee, not really that much problem. But they started having problems in other areas, and they have consistently had less than stellar showings for Republicans than they've had in the past. But still, they are frantic to try to find something that would solidify the base like anti-abortion did. And they don't really have it. And I mean, it's clear in Minnesota it doesn't sell. They want to avoid the abortion topic altogether in Minnesota. So that's why they jump to discrimination against transgender people, going against the LGBTQ plus IA plus community, as well as also going after drag shows and stuff like that, and just fighting against wokeness, aka Black people, Hispanic people, Latino people, Mexican people, Asian people, Native American people, all those people, because heaven forbid we actually acknowledge the fact that white people have been kind of really horrible. And it doesn't mean other people haven't been horrible too. It just means that, it's time for us to come to the reckoning that this is probably not the way we've lived our lives on this planet in the past is probably not the best way to continue to do it. And a great way to show this is talk to your friends about who is really on the side of Russia in Ukraine. That's just unbridled brutalism by the Russians, trying to force Ukraine to their will, and Ukraine's not taking it because they shouldn't have been invaded. We are supposed to be evolved creatures. We are supposed to be intelligent. We're not supposed to be this. And on one side, you have people saying, "You're gonna be afraid. They're all Democrats, they're all pedophiles." Ah, that's all they've got, because if they have to start running on issues. I mean, Republicans haven't run on issues in 15 years. They've just, ever since Barack Obama got elected, it just became stop the black guy. And it did. Sorry. I mean, I hate saying it. And you might not have said it so bluntly, but it kind of, you went along with a lot of people who were doing that. This is the fight we have right now. And if I may, this is the fight right now the progressives have a real good chance at winning. And that is burying the Republican Party for at least 3 or 4 more election cycles, which will help us take back the Supreme Court and bring sanity back to the United States of America. proof of this. In the state houses controlled by conservatives, this is a story from Huffington Post. In the state houses controlled by conservatives, proposals that ban gender-affirming care for minors attempt to bar transgender people from public life under the guise of drag bans and prevent trans people from using the bathroom or playing in a sports team that match their gender identity on the top of their to-do list. But recent polling shows that the majority of voters oppose laws that dictate what kind of health care a trans person can receive, or at least that there is no large swell for voters eager for these regressive policies. A March Marist poll found that among adults, 54% of them oppose laws that would criminalize gender-affirming care for minors. A March Data for Progress poll of likely voters found that 64% of all respondents thought that the number of anti-trans bills was excessive and amounted to political theater. And an April Fox News survey of registered voters, 54% said attacks on trans families were more problematic than trans women in sports. In Florida, DeSantis has packaged the assault on LGBTQ rights as a war on woke and poised to hit the state as the place where woke goes to die. But in March, an IPIS USA Today poll found that 56% of Americans believe woke to be a positive term. Only 39% of Republicans agreed with the negative definition. Only 39% of Republicans agreed with the negative definition. People have this mistaken idea that these bills are to get political wins or votes red meat for their base, but legislators pass policies they want to see enacted. So, that's kind of what they're doing. I agree. I disagree with that to a point. I think they're just trying to find something that will solidify the right behind them, like it did when they were when it was anti-abortion talk. Much of the legislation that Republican lawmakers introduced this year targeted trans children. In Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Idaho, elected officials introduced laws that banned gender-affirming care for children. Focusing on kids have been tried and true ways to gin up moral panic, and certainly how the GOP can make inroads to support these bills. The American Medical Association has said that gender-affirming care for transgender minors, which runs gamut for social transition to puberty blockers, is an appropriate course of treatment. Americans as a whole have a very retrograde attitudes when it comes to how children should be raised, said Claverius. But he says when it takes it even further, that's when the support wanes. In Missouri, the Attorney General created an emergency ruling that would essentially ban adults from receiving gender-affirming care. The state is currently being sued. I think they're overplaying their hand and pushing to the limits. Restricting gender-affirming care for adults and attempted erasure of trans people in adult life probably falls flat with the majority of Americans. And it's not just bills. Representative Zoe Zephyr, the transgender lawmaker in Montana, was punished for saying Republicans would have blood on their hands if they passed gender-affirming care ban. In Nebraska, by the way, funny story, there are plenty of pictures of those Nebraska Republicans standing in front of Trump flags that say blank your feelings. So this is not about, we have standards. No, it's not. You don't. This is just basically about, transgender bigotry. That's all it is. In Nebraska, a Democratic lawmaker who opposes anti-trans laws is being investigated for conflict of interest because she has a trans child. There's a popular assumption that Republicans are only going to all in on transphobia because there's a political goal to the end, but perhaps these bills are coming down because eradicating civil rights for trans people is a sincerely held belief. It's not just an opportunistic move. Otherwise, they would not be so headstrong into it. Now, that's a fair point. Abortion is a perfect example of enacting unpopular right-wing laws. After the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, the guaranteed constitutional right to abortion in June 2020, several states rushed to make abortion illegal with their jurisdiction. So, it's an interesting point, but I will go back to the polling. The polling shows that people are not buying it. They're not buying this war on woke. And let's just do the math here. If 56% of people think woke is a positive term, then basically the Republicans are painting themselves once again into a corner. That up until, say, May of next year, so a year from today, they'll be like, anti-woke, anti-woke, anti-woke. And all of a sudden, now they've got to win a general election where 56% of the people think woke means nothing bad, is actually a positive term. And all of a sudden, those same people who are going anti-woke, anti-woke, anti-woke are going to be like, whoever talked about woke? I think people have the right to be as compassionate as they want to be. You have an opportunity here, progressives. You have an opportunity, liberals. You have an opportunity, Democrats, to really crush them because they're going down real hate roads. No, don't get me wrong. It's not like, as great as it would be to see the Republican Party of Mississippi get their caboose handed to them in an election. It's not going to happen. Let's be honest. Tennessee is not going to flip anytime soon. Arkansas is not going to flip anytime soon. Texas, well, I mean, there's a reason why Republicans have spent hundreds of millions of dollars to try to recruit Hispanic, Latino, and Mexican voters to their side. Still, the vast majority support Democrats, so they're running into their limit with that. But maybe states like Missouri and Ohio, I mean, heck, Georgia is starting to become a fairly consistently blue place. I don't think South Carolina is that far behind, if you really want to know the truth. Don't get me wrong, in the upstate parts of South Carolina, that is as, banjo-y as banjo-y it gets. It really is. But you get towards Charleston and Columbia and the coast, and it's not. It just is not anymore. Maybe not North Carolina. I think there's still a lot of work that's got to be done there. But, you've got other states, Arizona. The fight's on in Nevada, which has been traditionally a blue state, but the Republicans are trying to pick up there, but you can kick them back pretty good. You can start creating a map where on the national level, there's no place for them to win. And what it takes is every single election. There's going to be off-year elections coming up here in November. Off the top of your head, I'm going to guess it's like city councils and mayor's races and school boards and stuff like that. That's what you're mainly going to get this year. But if it's on your ballot and you've got a ballot, you should go out and vote. And of course, next year in Minnesota, you got Klobuchar on the top of the ticket for the Minnesota side of it. And of course, you're going to have a presidential race. Oh, yeah. Did you hear his deposition? Oh, good luck with that. No, seriously, good luck with that. God, he looks like that deposition looks like a Dateline NBC episode, doesn't it? It does.
The camera angle is kind of odd if you look at that.
Donald J. Trump owned his golf course down in Mar-a-Lago, Florida. Everybody loved him. He was the king of the party until no one could have ever guessed. Yeah. Every election, every race, everything counts. And in, Wisconsin, Minnesota, you got to get out there and vote every single time. Because I guarantee you this, if the Republicans ever get back control of this state, they will turn us back to the 16 freaking hundreds. Then all of a sudden, then they'll be talking about jamming things down their throats again with a smile on their face. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. Some good news, which I got to tell you the truth. Okay, good news when it comes to the environment. I'll talk about that when we do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
Escape to the natural beauty of nature at the We Are the Medicine Black Moon Gathering event May 19th through 21st at Champion Valley in Lakeville. This wellness gathering offers a safe space for interactive education, healing, and relaxation in nature. And connect with others while respecting the sacred land. Join the supportive community by camping at the We Are the Medicine Black Moon Gathering May 19th through 21st at Champion Valley in Lakeville. Tickets at edgemagazine.net.
Attention all loons. Crooner's Supper Club is hosting the first annual Loons on the Lake Comedy Festival June 21st through 24th with 40 comedians from all across the country entered into a $10,000 comedy competition. See star performances from comedy legend Jimmy Walker from Good Times, Jamie Kennedy from Scream 1 and 2, Erica Rhodes from HBO, and Don McMillan, the PowerPoint comedian from America's Got Talent. Check out the fun at loonsonthelake.com or stop by Crooner's off Moore Lake and Highway 65. That's June 21st through 24th. loonsonthelake.com.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So last year, actually the last 2 years, can I just bring up something that really blew my mind in regards to the Republicans? Republicans might have kind of got sidetracked on like social issues, but when it came to issues to protect hunting, they were always never batting an eye. And we obviously, there are a lot of people who will take, criticism of hunting and stuff like this. I have, as a person who grew up in a hunting family, I've seen the value of places like Ducks Unlimited and Pheasants Forever. And you're preserving the population. It's not like, and Minnesota is a good place because it's not like some of these southern states where it's just disturbing the what they allow to happen as regard to hunting and fishing in some of the places. Here it is done in a lot more of a in a trying to preserve the populations the best they can. And so I think that there is a value to it. And especially when you look at hunting season, my God, have you ever spent any time in a small town in northern Minnesota during hunting season on either duck opener or deer opener? It's packed. It's packed. Every restaurant is full. Every bar is full. It's a money-making venture. They make a ton of cash. And so it's a godsend to some of these towns where really outside of fishing opener and hunting openers, there's not a lot of people coming into town. And that's their bread and butter. Republicans used to look at stuff like that and said there was nothing that was going to jeopardize this. And we started talking about chronic wasting disease. This is a disease that affects deer. And it has been so bad in some states, they've had to actually cancel the hunting season. And I can't even imagine the economic impacts of canceling the hunting season because the chronic wasting disease is so bad. And so when chronic wasting disease started coming up, I thought this was going to be, okay, which Democrats do we have to convince to get on board to do this? And the craziest damn thing happened. The Democrats were the ones like, we got to stop this chronic wasting disease. And the Republicans were like, nah, it's no big deal. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that there are some Republicans whose families seem to have some sort of interest in these, in some of the deer farms or what. I don't know. What I do know is it didn't make a lot of sense. And in the Senate, it was going nowhere. And I mean, we're talking about the deer hunting season. Every Republican in the state, it blew my mind that there was actually opposition to this, but not only opposition, but enough to basically hold up any bill on chronic wasting disease. There are some things that just do not make any freaking sense. And that was one of them. Well, thank God the Democrats are in charge now. A new deer farms, and by the way, thank to Rick Hansen, the House rep, who sent me this some of this information on this stuff. New deer farms will be started in with no new deer farms. No new deer farms would be started in Minnesota under an agreement reached Thursday night by a conference committee concerned with the spread of chronic wasting disease in the state's invaluable wild deer population. The negotiated deal brokered by Senator Kelly Morrison, the DFL from Deep Haven, would shift oversight of deer farms from the Board of Animal Health to the Department of Natural Resources. Among the other new provisions, the agreement would strengthen fencing requirements around the captive whitetail herds and place new restrictions on the importation of captive deer from areas where chronic wasting disease is a problem. How the hell is that already not on the books? Like I said, this whole thing just blew my freaking mind. That this should have been taken care of years ago, and it should have been bipartisan and done and fairly quickly. Yeah, sometimes this is why, I mean, the Republicans are clearly going down paths which they don't even know where they're going. Morrison came out to say, I'm feeling relieved and happy this morning. This is a big deal for our state. Our goal is to contain this disease. Amen. The deer farm measure was adopted by House and Senate conferees as part of the larger environmental natural resources climate energy bill that would be sent to Governor Walz to be signed into law. On Friday, the conference committee was working to resolve differences over the other aspects of the bill. Representative Rick Hansen, DFL from South St. Paul, said the agreement is a big payoff for 5 years of work by various groups to tighten controls on the industry that have been linked to DNR researchers to chronic wasting disease outbreaks in the wild deer population. Nationwide, CWD is seen by many wildlife officials, including hunting groups, public health experts, and economic development officials as a disease that must be reckoned with before it spins out of control. This is the most comprehensive chronic wasting disease package passed anywhere in the country, said Hansen, chairman of the House Environmental and Natural Resources Finance and Policy Committee. As of late last year, Minnesota had 229 cervid farms containing about 6,000 animals, mostly deer. The farms serve various purposes, including raising of genetically engineered monster bucks for private enclosed hunts. Didn't we have a story yesterday about a guy shooting a man because he thought it was a turkey? Maybe it was one of these monster turkeys where they turn out this like a turkey walking around like Foghorn Leghorn. Is that what we're talking about? Monster turkey. Other deer are raised for meat, antler, velvet, urine scent for hunters. Turns on the ladies. And for the trade of breeding operations, I'll just put it that way. Morrison, a physician, isn't on the conference committee that adopted the package, but she has sponsored legislation to control the spread of CWD for reasons that include the potential for the disease to cross over to the humans and common livestock herds, which would be a freaking nightmare. Dr. Joe, once again, talking about this stuff. Deer hunting is a big part of our tradition. It is certainly a way of life for some Minnesotans and how they feed their family, Morrison said. John Zanmiller, Director of Community and Government Affairs for Bluffland Whitetails Association in southeastern Minnesota, said he was floored when he heard the deer farm agreement. I'm pleased as Punchy said. That's a huge step forward in containing chronic wasting disease. Like I said, this is not exactly, inner city liberals praising this. I mean, there was one meeting. God, where was this? It was early last year. There was a meeting that they had maybe April, where it was like pretty much every deer hunting association in the state was there saying, for God's sakes, do something about this. This is going to get bad. And the Republicans go, yeah. And I was like, what are you doing? This is your base, man. And granted, it's a lot to shake a base from a Republican, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess that maybe we'd learn the hard way if basically the deer hunt was wiped out in the state. Would it, because of a disease, would it basically turn people away from the Republicans if they did it? But needless to say, the Democrats came in and saved the day again. One of the sticking points had been a ban for some legislators to impose a requirement for deer farms throughout Minnesota to be double fenced. Experts believe chronic wasting disease is spread from close contact at fence lines between captive whitetails and wild deer. Deer farmers have strongly resisted the idea, which would be expensive for them. Double fencing isn't required under the deal adopted by the conference committee, Morrison said, but it strengthens fencing regulations by giving the DNR leeway to determine whether a deer farm fence is adequate to prevent physical contact or escape. Morrison said the shift of deer farm oversight from the Board of Animal Health to the DNR is meant to improve the existing system of joint oversight. The legislative auditor report from several years ago knocked on the board for being too cozy with deer farms and lax on enforcement. And that's, once again, that's what a lot of people think the reason why this did not get done under the Republicans was because of that. Another piece of the reform measure deals with live animal testing of a captive deer. The University of Minnesota has developed what could become the first workable test for CWD in live deer. Current testing relies on tissue sampling of dead deer. So they're working on that. Deer farmers couldn't import a captive deer from an area where CWD has been a problem until it passed a live test for the always fatal neurological disease. Always fatal. And once again, also, significant PFAS and was also adopted in the Minnesota Conference Committee last night. So we talked yesterday about trying to get some of these forever chemicals out of our bodies and out of the water and out of the ground. Hopefully we might be able to do something about that now. So good news. Once again, Democrats are delivering. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hi, I'm Scott Shamblot from Shamblot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. And we'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for showers and storms tonight with a low around 55. Saturday, rain with a high near 67. And Sunday, partly sunny with a high near 72.
Get paid to upgrade. Warner Stellian will buy your appliance for $50 during our trade-in sale. No one else saves you more time from shopping to free professional delivery like Warner Stellian. Put us to the test. Shop Minnesota family-owned WarnerStellian.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Reminder, Native Roots Radio coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. Exceptional radio here. It is must listen. It is a fantastic show. Robert piloting crew, 6 o'clock tonight, right here on AM 950. I'm not quite sure. Okay. The Mayo Clinic definitely has some muscles it can flex. It came under a lot of fire during the pandemic for, God forbid, trying to keep people healthy and safe by Republicans who basically, and I'll still never forget this for the rest of my life, how many state Republicans signed a letter trying to order the Mayo Clinic, the best hospital on the planet, trying to tell them how to hospital. That was. I mean, if you want an idea of how much they don't realize how much they've overstepped, is that they are going to the greatest hospital on the planet and trying to tell them you're doing it wrong. Really? Wow. But now the Mayo Clinic has got its sights set on the DFL, and they're a little concerned about, I'm going to guess it's something to do with the Health and Human Services bill. The Mayo Clinic is giving Governor Walz and state lawmakers an ultimatum over two bills that aim to increase nurse staffing levels and rein in healthcare costs. Gut the bills, or the nonprofit hospital will put billions in planned investments out of the pull billions in planned investments out of the state. In an email to DFL legislative leaders in Walz's office on Wednesday, a Mayo Clinic executive said the nonprofit is reconsidering its plan for new facilities and infrastructure that are 4 times the size of the investment in U.S. Bank Stadium, a $1.1 billion project, and their decision is time sensitive and will be made in a matter of days. Because these bills continue to proceed without meaningful necessary changes to avert their harms to Minnesotans, we cannot proceed with seeking approval to make the investment in Minnesota. We will need to direct the enormous investment to other states, said Kate Johansson, vice chair of internal engagement, wrote to an email obtained by the reformer. Mayo Clinic, the state's largest private employer with over 48,000 workers, has been spearheading a decade-long redevelopment effort in Rochester to turn a small southern Minnesota city into the Silicon Valley of medicine, helped by hundreds of millions of public money. In 2013, the Mayo Clinic also made a last-minute threat that it would bring billions in investments for Destination Medical Center to another state if a lawmaker didn't contribute $500 million towards the project. The public money has thus far been matched by about $1.525 billion in private investment. So basically, they're flexing their muscle and they're saying, well, we don't have to do this. Mayo Clinic did not respond to requests for comment on what specific project they plan to take out of the state of the two bills passed in their current form, but an email to the governor said it would be privately funded. The two bills Mayo wants dead are the Keeping Nurses at Bedside Act and the creation of the Healthcare Affordability Board. Both are currently in the final stages of negotiation between the House and Senate leaders, who are ironing out differences between their Health and Human Services bill before sending it back to the governor's desk. The hardball lobbying comes after months of debate and behind-the-scenes negotiations with hospital leaders, which have yielded over a dozen significant changes to the nurse staffing bill, according to its author, Representative Sandra Feist, the DFL from New Brighton. I was surprised to see that email, Feist said, because I had been working diligently with Mayo for many weeks to identify language that would address their concerns of gutting the bill. Representative Feist, let's just make sure we understand what the Mayo Clinic has done here. They have basically said, I want to talk to your manager. They pulled a Karen. and sorry if your name is Karen. I understand it's a sore subject. But they did. Because it is kind of funny that Representative Feist, who's been working with them, is like, I have no idea this is going on. Mayo's proposal, an exemption what would cover virtually all hospitals in the state, would gut the bill, Feist said. Asked about Mayo's ultimatum after the bill's signing ceremony on Friday, Walz said he believes a compromise is possible. We've always supported making sure that our nurses are supported, that they have what they need. They also understand the Mayo Clinic is a unique entity that's focusing globally on it. The Keeping Nurses at Bedside Act, backed by the Nurses Union, would require hospitals to form committees made up of nurses and other hospital staff to create core staffing plans that include the maximum number of patients each nurse can typically safely care for. 8 other states have similar requirements, while California and Massachusetts have more stringent government-mandated nurse-to-patient ratios. The Nurses Union says the bill would reduce burnout and lead to better patient care, while hospital leaders have warned the bill would force them to shutter hospital units and turn away patients. Under the bill, The health commissioner must also develop a public grading system to judge how well each hospital complies with its staffing plans. I don't think that necessarily sounds like the worst idea, Mayo Clinic, but my guess is what you're saying is no. Well, and what it sounds like you're saying is no, we want to work our nurses harder and in turn offer less comprehensive medical care. I don't quite know what are you doing here, if I can say. It's committees that could set the minimum for safe staffing levels have the potential to foil Mayo Clinic's version to expand automation in healthcare. Tell me, human, does this hurt? Does this hurt? Does this hurt? How bad? On a scale of 1 to 10, human.
Wonder if it prescribes ivermectin.
Ivermectin. Pull down your pants. Robotic MAGA doctor is actually hello, human. I have a light bulb. I'm going to jam this up your rectum and turn it on to see if we can spot the COVID. All right. How about those twins? Hi there. I have a bleach injection for you. Don't be shy. This will take care of it. You don't want to be metallic, do you? Well, wouldn't that be, if, he's concerned, and the robot's obviously concerned. If he gets the vaccine, the robot might get stuck to the human being because he's all of a sudden, his keys stick to him.
That's a good point.
That's just science, man. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, great point. A metal robot. That's a big problem.
Undo your overalls. Jesus. Mayo Clinic. I don't know if you really want to go down that path quite quickly there. Just, dot I's, cross T's. Okay. Just do your due diligence on that one. They basically are afraid of the grading that they could hurt their sterling reputation. The second bill, Mayo Clinic says, need to be scrapped, aims to tackle the ongoing problem of skyrocketing healthcare costs, likely to worsen as the population ages, requiring ever-increasing portions of the state budget to care for people in need. The bill is extremely problematic and poses a huge threat to the well-being of Minnesota's healthcare system. As is drafted, an email from Mayo Clinic says it must be removed from the HHS omnibus bill and consideration for Mayo to move forward with previously stated investment. I mean, can I just say, this has got a lot of ballsiness to this. This is them basically saying, no, you need to pull that bill. We'll give you the bill you're going to pass. And if you don't do this, we're going to move out of state. And I don't know. I don't know if this is necessarily a good precedent, because I don't think you should. I think you should think very carefully about allowing the Mayo Clinic to do this. I think you should think about this very carefully. The bill's author, Representative Liv Rayer, a DFLer from Egan, says she is making revisions to the bill, but hasn't received much feedback from any of the hospital representatives. And can I just say this? Mayo Clinic, stop being damn cowards. Can I just say, Mayo Clinic, stop being damn cowards. Stop going to their manager and Governor Walz and trying to get them in trouble and trying to do this. If you really are this concerned about this, get your representatives down there with Wire and Feist and sit down with them and explain to them what exactly is wrong with these bills. And stop doing this. Well, you better not pass it. No. Stop being a Karen, for lack of a better way to say it. If you really want to see this changed, then stop acting like, well, we're not trying to order. Yes, you are. You're trying to get in there and write the damn bill. And these people are here trying to pass a bill, and they're kind of like, we don't quite know what they do want and what they don't want. So as opposed to sit there and write a nasty email to the governor, why don't you get off your butts and actually then tell them exactly what is the problem? Or are you afraid of going on the record for that because it basically is like, well, it's about profit margins. It's about how much money we have at the end of the day. It would be nice to hear concerns after the bill was introduced February. It's not like it's not been public. We could have had a lot of productive conversations. Exactly. Ryer said a number of other states have created similar boards and pointed to Massachusetts, which reported lower than average growth in commercial healthcare costs. The possibility of alienating one of the state's crown jewels of losing investment would create higher paying jobs that could sink the bills in the final days of the legislative session. Yet at least some Democratic lawmakers say they'll hang tough. I don't respond well to ultimatums, no matter who they come from, said Representative Tina Liebling. This is the DFLer from Rochester, who is a member of the committee negotiating the fine details of the large health and human services bill. I appreciate the Mayo has concerns. As legislatures, we try to balance concerns. Democrat Senator Aaron Murphy of St. Paul, a registered nurse who's absolutely fantastic, who authored the nursing bill in the Senate and once served as the executive director of the nurses union, said an exception was unacceptable and that the bill is the strongest form since the nurses union began advocating for legislative addressing the low staffing levels in 2008. So this is not just something that's been a problem since the beginning of the pandemic. This is something that's been going on for a while. And I'm just going to say it. I got hit by a drunk driver. The nurses were absolute freaking angels. Absolute angels. Worth every penny. Everyone in that hospital, all the doctors, all the nurses, all the staff, the people bringing the food, the people taking out the laundry, every one of them, fantastic. Fairview Southdale, had my hip replacement over at Methodist, had that kidney issue a few years ago back there. Fantastic. They deserve our support because they are doing, the work of angels. They are doing the work of angels. So I'm 100% on the side of the nurses here on this one, and basically making sure that our healthcare system is the safest and most affordable for all. Jeff is in Cambridge. Let's get him in here really quick before we go to break. Welcome on in, Jeff.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. We can't cave to Mayo, because then what's going to happen? 3M's going to come and say, "Hey, you've got to loosen the bill here, loosen the our liability here on PFAS. We're going to leave here if you don't do that." I think once you agree to a terrorist's demands, then you're opening up for more.
Well, and that's you said the word terrorist, I didn't, but I will say this. Thanks, Jeff. It is an interesting argument to say because he's right. What if all of a sudden Target comes out and says we want minimum wage back to $7.25 an hour, or else we're pulling our corporate headquarters out of the state and we're going to go to Omaha, where they're willing to allow us to do that. And we'll shut down every Target store at the same time. Now, they wouldn't do that. I don't think Target would do that. But he's right. You start setting a precedent, and this doesn't go away quickly. And if Mayo Clinic thinks that they can write bills, well, what happens when they say that, we want to say in the environmental bill or the transportation bill or any of these things? Yeah, I know it's a tough thing because you're looking at them and saying to them, well, I'll tell you what. Let me share one quick story. I'll take a break, come back, one quick story, and then we'll get some dancing for the weekend. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
We know you love your pets, so make sure to listen to the Pet Buzz. This week on the show, pet trendologist Charlotte Reed and Dr. Michael Fleck will have more celebrity pet news, global pet news. Dr. Fleck with Flex Facts, Tell Me Something Good, plus more great interviews. That's this week on the Pet Buzz, enhancing the bond between pets and their people.
Listen to the Pet Buzz every Sunday at 11 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Do you believe in ghosts? Ever wondered if aliens from other planets visit the Earth? Have you ever thought about whether Bigfoot is real? My name is Greg Bakken, and on my new show, Ghostbox Radio, we'll have these conversations about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, or just the unusual, bringing together guests who are experts in these fields. Join me every Sunday at 4 p.m. for Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken on AM 950, even if you're a skeptic.
Many car dealers will quote safety stats, but firsthand experience really tells the story. When I bought my 2017 Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, the service manager told me it was one of their safest vehicles ever made. Then I saw it for myself. A car hit me at 35 miles per hour, and the Sienna saved me. Its design absorbed the collision, and although it took a wallop, I walked away, and I now have a 2022 Sienna. When it comes to safety, I personally vouch for Toyotas. Be safe and get one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. So when we first moved into our house, there was a large business that was located a few blocks away from our house, and they were getting ready to expand. And one of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to build their building right up to the street level, basically right up to the street, which in the city I'm in, actually you can't do. You have to leave some leeway, some guidance there, place for fire hydrants and stuff like that. You can't build up there. And they were saying, well, if you don't give us this exception, we're going to move our business down to Jordan. And I wanted to give the city council the credit that they deserve. They looked at them and said, well, you want to move your entire facility. That's going to be a tremendous amount of cost. And as well, it's going to add a lot of extra mileage to your vehicles whenever you're driving anywhere. So, if that's where you want to go, we're not going to budge. So that's the case. Well, guess what? They basically went along with it. And there were some other concessions that were made to the business, but they stood their ground. I don't know how serious Mayo Clinic is to move somewhere else, but, considering how much money they've gotten from the state, I don't think you really want to get to a point where people start saying, what are we doing? What are we getting for our investment here? If all you're doing is taking state money and buying and building and developing out of state. I think we have a chance here to do things right. And I agree with the caller. I don't think we should give a chance to let a company basically start dictating all the policies of the state. That's a little bit too Harlan Crow for me. 952-946-6205. Dance time. This is Death by Romy. I like this. This is a nice song. Once again, Native Roots Radio comes up in the 6 o'clock hour. We are back on a Monday. Have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy it. Till Monday. See ya.
Wake up, the fire's gonna get you. You're stuck, but only you can save you. Running in circles only hurts you. Stand up, you need it for the breakthrough. You dug your grave, but where you falling? Keep playing games, you know you won't win. No better day than not a begin. I can't just keep watching you falling. Lay back, cause you need that. Sit down on your knees, baby. Listen, I know I got you. Relax, get yourself out. You're only fighting with yourself, though. But I think it's time you tell yourself stop. You've only lived a bit of life, love. There's so much more you can't give up. I know you're tired and you are hurting. Your brain is sore but keep searching. Your heart is strong, I feel it burning. This life is yours and you're deserving.
Hi, this is Frank Brown, owner of Minuteman Press Uptown, Minnesota's only minority